Welcome to Newslaundry Chhota Hafta. For the full episode, subscribe because it is behind the paywall and only subscribers get access to uncut, complete content. Newslaundry Hafta is our weekly wrap of all that made the news, all that didn't, and all that should have and all that shouldn't have. We agree, we disagree, we critique, and occasionally we beat each other up. But it's all good fun. Subscribe.
This is a Newslaundry podcast and you're listening to NL Hafta.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता नहीं छोड़ते. This is Abhinandan Sekhri getting you News Laundry Hafta episode 378. My God, that's a long time. And joining me today on the panel for the Hafta to keep you updated about all that's happening around the country and maybe even around the world. Let's get the people who are not in the studio today. Joining us from the city of Bangalore is Dhanya Rajendran. Hi, Dhanya.
Hello.
Most of you already know who Dhanya is, if not all of you. Dhanya is the co-founder and editor-in-chief of the News Minute. She has previously worked with Times Now and the New Indian Express, and she is also the chairperson of DigiPub News India Foundation, which all of us are members, the largest body that represents news publishers in India. So welcome, Ms. Rajendran.
Thank you. And thank you for for pronouncing my name correctly.
I always pronounce it correctly.
But most people say Rajendra.
Okay. And you think are most people?
Yes.
Dhanya, also, I was reading some tweet today where someone said that News Minute is like the Naxal laundry of South. Because News Minute and News Laundry people keep getting confused between the two, the right wing.
Really?
So it's like stories that we do, they tag them, ki Naxal Minute, what are you doing? Stories that they do, they tag us.
That should come to you are directed at me when I don't even deserve them.
Yeah. And then someone called you Malayalib. What is a Malayalib?
A liberal who's Malayali. Obviously, that's a Malayalib. Also joining us on the phone line is Abhishek Baxi. Hi, Abhishek.
Hello.
And you join us from which city?
Gurgaon. Not very far.
Oh, right.
Not very far. That's here. Yeah, we should have got him to our studio, our new studio, fancy studio. Abhishek is a digital consultant and a freelance tech journalist. He is the founder and editor of the podcast Hub. He writes on technology trends, gadgets, and has a decade of experience. He actually writes for the Morning Context and the columnist is Mint as well. And you have formerly contributed with Forbes. So welcome, Abhishek.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Tech is the most in-demand, sought-after subject these days. So you must be much in demand, are you not?
Depends what side of tech are you looking at.
For me, like tech is tech. Like it's just one big mass there.
Yeah, but that one big mass kind of encompasses a lot of things these days. The digital life, it's the tech, the gadgets, and of course, big tech and enterprise.
Right. Okay, so we'll just get to the headlines and get into the discussions because there's lots to discuss from tech, which is the Twitter big headline.
Yeah.
And Karnataka has been in the news, as have some other parts of the south. But I'd just like to request all our subscribers and even the non-subscribers to tell others to subscribe to News Laundry and pay to keep news free. And while you're at it, also go to the News Minute and subscribe to them. The links are in the show notes below because even the News Minute has aggressively been pushing their subscriber model for the last few years. And I think it's a fantastic property which many of you should subscribe to. And hopefully, if all goes well, Dhanya's News Minute and News Laundry can launch a joint subscription someday. And then that would be truly a wonderful day, I think, for news. But until then, do subscribe to us separately. And we have a new email for podcast letters, which I'll share with you later. And importantly, we have 2 new Sena projects. One is called The Yogi Who Has It All. And there is another Sena project which will be up by the time this...
It is up.
It's up already.
Already we got around 40.
We've already got... Okay, we've already got 40,000 on it. So guys, just keep subscribing to those News Laundry Sena projects. Those 2 stories will take at least a couple of months, if not more, to just report on and then write and illustrate. And in-depth investigations are required. Travel is required. Our reporters to go and stay in the relevant places for long periods of time. So you see, reporting costs money. It's not just sitting in studios and shouting. And you have to fund that. And one of them, I think we've already collected some 40,000. So if you can top these up, we can commission those stories ASAP. Now, before we move on, let's get the headlines and then we shall get guests to tell us about many things.
Independent MLA Ravi Rana and his wife, also Amravati MP Navneet Rana, were arrested over reciting Hanuman Chalisa outside the Thackeray family home on charges of promoting enmity between different religious groups. The Mumbai police has slapped them with sedition charges and they've been remanded to 14-day judicial custody. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla has sought details from the Maharashtra government within 24 hours on the arrest. This was really all over the news this week. Over 100 former civil servants have written to Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the hope that he will call for an end to what they termed as quote-unquote politics of hate, allegedly practiced assiduously by governments under the BJP's control. Hearing the bail application of student activist Umar Khalid, the Delhi High Court asked whether it was proper to use the term Jumla with respect to the Prime Minister and said that there has to be a line or a Lakshman Rekha when it comes to criticism of the government. So you can't say...
I'm not sure about that. But it's just an observation yet.
Yeah. He also said some Changa word was used. And sab Changa si bola hoga usne. PM Modi asks non-BJP states to reduce tax on fuel. TMC leader, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee told reporters in Kolkata that the interaction of the Prime Minister was completely one-sided and misleading. Opposition states, she said, get step-motherly treatment. TRS leader and Telangana Chief Minister also said that Telangana had not hiked fuel prices since 2014. Meanwhile, Arvind Kejriwal got some flack from Amit Walia for not sitting properly in the meeting.
Amit
Malviya. Elon Musk struck a $44 billion deal to buy the social media giant Twitter. That was the biggest news of the week. And Musk describes himself as a free speech absolutist, though there's a lot of skepticism around what he'll do with the forum once he has full control over it. So we shall discuss that. Prashant Kishore declines offer to join Congress. Or Congress declined his offer. One doesn't know.
We don't know.
But basically the marriage
Congress
has not happened.
had given some offer. But
the offer was to join their whatever
committee,
that internal, the
but he said
committee.
The Congress needs change in leadership
and collective will to fix the deep-rooted structural problems through transformational reforms, which he believes they're not doing. Bidding farewell to Delhi and having decided to gradually withdraw from national politics, veteran Congress leader A.K. Antony argued that the Congress cannot exist without the Nehru-Gandhi family leading it. This was after PK's news made headline. Tejasvi Surya leads a protest in Kolkata against alleged irregularities in the recruitment of teachers in state government schools.
So this is
compares Mamta to Hitler.
There's a third protest he's leading.
Probably he'll go around singling Muslim teachers.
First he was Delhi, then he went Rajasthan. And now, so he's basically on a protest tour.
Yeah.
So maybe the party has instructed that you shout the loudest.
Yeah, you're the guy.
So you are the guy.
Religious books cannot enter schools registered under Karnataka Education Act. That's the Secondary Education Minister B.C. Nagesh. There's been a lot of controversy around minority institutions teaching the Bible there. So we can get Dhanya in on that. A Karnataka Education Department official visited a school in Bengaluru on Monday after a Hindu group alleged that the school was imposing the Bible on students. The education minister said that Bible and Quran are religious texts, but the Bhagavad Gita is a book which speaks about the values needed to lead life. So we cannot compare the two, basically. I guess that's his point. Karnataka Home Minister also warned of Delhi-like action against rioters. So first, Delhi mayors were warning a UP-like action. MP was also warning a UP-like action. Now Karnataka is warning a Delhi-like action, which is basically the use of bulldozers.
Yeah, basically.
The row over Bollywood actor Ajay Devgn's assertion that Hindi is India's national language refuses to die down, as prominent Karnataka leaders have jumped into the debate, offering a reality check to the actor. Two former Karnataka chief ministers have slammed Mr. Devgn and pointed out that Hindi is not India's national language. And the chief minister has also commented on the language law. He said what Sudeep has said is right. After the formation of states, they had their own regional languages. So even the BJP has said, please. Emmanuel Macron has defeated his far-right rival, Marine Le Pen, to be re-elected president of France, vowing to tackle the country's doubts and divisions during his second 5-year term.
So while he has made history by getting re-elected, Le Pen got 42%.
68-42 thing, so it's
which is
catching up.
It's a far right getting that kind of numbers.
And she makes our right wing look like gentle in some ways.
Well, not really. I think our right wing is as loony as hers. There's been a lot of news from Karnataka. Some of it substantial, some of it just noise. And I mean, I'm wondering, has media turned it into a news which is non-news, or is it actually big news and it is a political point making? So what is the actual story?
Most of it is noise. For example, we can dismiss the Clarence School controversy as noise. We can dismiss the education minister saying that Bhagavad Gita will be introduced in schools next year as noise. But I think in the last few months, what we have learned covering Karnataka politics is that nothing can be dismissed as noise. There is always a pattern to the things that they do.
And now this row where Ajay Devgn stepped into, it's messed up the narrative. This wasn't part of the plan because the chief ministers had to now distance himself from, Ajay Devgn's comments, who is, I guess, one won't call him a BJP toady, not to the extent Akshay Kumar is, but he's one of those who is sucking up to the power right now. I mean, tell us, has a News Minute found, have your reporters done any reporting in the last several years about this thing we keep hearing about, and one doesn't know to what extent it's true, that Karnataka is their laboratory, is their Hindutva laboratory. There was one was Gujarat and the other is Karnataka. And it's really, really entrenched. Is there any truth in that, or is it just because they were so successful politically? Because another narrative I've heard is BJP's rise in Karnataka is basically Yediyurappa. Without Yediyurappa, there would be no BJP in Karnataka.
This election, we will see when Yediyurappa is not the face of the BJP, is not the face of the campaign. And when in the last 1.5 years, there has been a sort of polarizing attempt in other districts than in coastal Karnataka, we'll have to see how Karnataka votes. But whether Karnataka as a whole can be called a Hindutva laboratory is a bit problematic. Now, like Uttar Pradesh. Now, I have never covered Uttar Pradesh, nor have I traveled there much. But from whatever I read, I know that Hindi, Hindu, Hindutva is entrenched into a lot of the thinking in Uttar Pradesh. But Karnataka cannot be taken as an entity like that. For example, Mysore Mandya behaves differently from Bengaluru or coastal Karnataka, or North Karnataka thinks and behaves very differently from the rest of Karnataka. The food is not the same. The language is different in many of these places. Their politics is different. Therefore, you cannot call the entire state a Hindutva laboratory. Coastal Karnataka definitely was. It has been over the past few years.
But also in terms of lab, we are not saying that the entire state is, it's a lab has to be a very controlled,
smaller
area. Area.
So it is
and
the
from that,
area.
It will just have a cascading effect, on the rest of the area.
But how much of this is BJP? Like, what is happening within the BJP for this to just spill out? And for so many actors to assume so much importance. Like, there are random Senes now smashing watermelons, like we don't even know who these guys are. So how much of it shows that BJP is really in control or not in control, or what?
So as of now, the BJP definitely believes that these groups are helping their cause. And within the BJP, we are seeing a lot of new leaders like C.T. Ravi and Arvind Bellad, who are very vocal about Hindutva and anti-Muslim. They don't have a problem voicing it. Now, I think this debate has gone on for too long, and it has been established repeatedly that there's a myth that Hindi is not a national language. India does not have a national language. India has only official languages. States also have official languages. There are, I think, 22 official languages, but it keeps getting repeated to the point that people are tired here. And I have actually been fascinated by a discourse I was, somewhere I can't remember, by 2 or 3 North Indians discussing that looked at the arrogance of South Indians and how they diss Hindi, that they don't want a linked language. See, the problem is most South Indians understand Hindi, they can speak in Hindi, they can speak many other languages too. The issue is not about the language. Nobody has a problem with any language. The issue is with imposition. And that's something which, the debate gets skewed as to South Indians versus Hindi. It is not South Indians versus any language. It is South Indians versus the imposition of a language.
Now, this issue, I think it has got 2 aspects. I read, recently it has come out in the news that on OTT platforms, South movies are doing very well. And they have really threatened Bollywood in a big way.
Right.
Okay. After dubbing and all, and they're doing very well. Okay. I think this could be one of the reasons that Ajay Devgn, that Hindi will always be that.
So
this is one.
He's
This could be one.
okay.
This could be one. Second, which I think is more political, but speculative, of course. If you see Amit Shah, all these people, from time to time, they keep saying that Hindi ko promote karna hai.
Yeah, and at the same time, and then they hedge by saying, but don't impose it. They keep hedging,
So maybe, Mr. Devgan took a cue from here, and he tried to...
And miscued it.
So somebody mentioned that Hindi movies aren't doing that well, while movies from the South are doing great in Pan-India. And so Sudeep clarified that a Hindi movie can do well in Pan-India, can do or not do well in Pan-India, while South Indian language movies can also do well. So Hindi is no more a national language, which is what he said in the clip that you played. While a Kannada movie can also do, why do you call a Kannada movie as a regional movie?
Yeah.
While a Hindi movie by default is assumed to be a pan-India movie.
Right.
To which Ajay Devgn, and to his point, he was correct that there is also a little bit of insecurity because the recent hits have been, and these are big money spinning movies, have been from the South, So there's Ajay Devgn is also a producer, produces a lot of big ticket movies. So there's a bit of insecurity happening in Bollywood. And I guess Sudeep rightly kind of brought that conversation, which would have made for a greater debate about what South Indian language movies are and what Hindi movies are perceived to be across the country, and the changing dynamics of the market.
All of you listening in, the Chhota Hafta, do subscribe so you can listen to the entire Hafta. We will see you again next week with the Hafta. Till then, subscribe, pay to keep news free, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Thank you. Goodbye.
All the Newslaundry podcasts are available on Stitcher, iTunes, and any other podcast platform.
Please subscribe to Newslaundry. Help us keep news independent. To catch all our podcasts on news, pop culture, current affairs, and sport, visit newslaundry.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. सुन लिया अफ्रीका मुफत खोरों? Not to brag or anything, but Newslaundry Hafta features in the top 50 in the world on SoundCloud in the news and politics category for podcasts. So do subscribe and see what you're missing, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Subscribe, help keep news independent and free. All Newslaundry podcasts are available on iTunes and Stitcher and any other podcast platform.